All right, so we just had the Oregon school shooting. We've been monitoring people's comments all day. We've been monitoring the news and online news and stuff like that all day. ABC, NBC, the local news and stuff like that. I want to get all the reports in, or most of them in. Like I said, I'm a criminologist and I got my degree in police sciences, so I know that the facts that come in after the fact and all the rumors are all narrowed down and everything, then the truth starts coming to light. You know, people are mad because the families aren't stepping forward and saying anything. Okay, well, they just lost their loved ones and they're still in shock. All right, so yeah, you're not going to get maybe some far off distant relatives giving their opinion, but really their opinion isn't really going to be close family members' opinions just yet. So all that still has to come in. But we are going to report our findings as of yet. Okay, so any of this can be updated and or changed. I want to put that in there. But anyway, this is Dr. Janie Pendleton with my husband, Dr. John Pendleton, and we are back with Christian World News Today. And today's subject is the school shooting down, over in Oregon. And I'm just going to, so as part of the community, I just want to tell you that we too are stunned. I mean, no matter how many of these mass shootings happen, they're all just senseless. And we need to step up to the plate here. We need to step up to the plate. We need to figure out what's going on here with the mentally ill that are doing this. Our heartfelt sympathy goes out to the families. There are way too many tragedies like this. Our prayers are with you. Our love is with you at this time. And, you know, what more can we say at this point? What do you want to add to that?
No, we have experienced loss and we understand the loss. And we don't want to belittle that at all. Mm-hmm. But there's some things that came up in the news and some things that our president said. And there is an agenda being set to go against the Constitution of the United States. Mm-hmm. And to disarm us as a people.
American citizens.
And
yes.
if we were armed and if we were wary, then people would be less likely actually to shoot you than if you are unarmed and you're an easy target.
Well, soft targets are people that are in a gun-free zone. You notice a lot of these shootings and these mass shootings that have been happening, and we mapped them out here, and we'll talk about that here in just a minute, so we got them mapped out. For the most part, they're in gun-free zones. So when Obama mentions that that these shootings happen more in America than any other large country that's a modern nation, no, absolutely not. That's actually most of the shootings happen in gun-free zones. So if you actually map it, that's where they're mostly happening. But he doesn't want you to know that part, and we did map that. So
they have an agenda,
schools are
and it's
gun-free.
basically going against the Constitution of the United States. And I think that if we become easy targets, and we become easy victims,
soft targets,
soft targets in reference to that, then we have no hope of defending ourselves or even stopping the prevalent evil that people intend to do upon you.
That's right.
I've been on guard duty. They gave me 2 bullets one time to guard a whole compound with massive amounts of weapons and things.
And what year was that in?
That was in the 70s.
Well, at least you got 2 bullets. Today they don't have any. That's why they're coming in now and using the military. Our military has become a soft target on our bases.
It's a gun-free zone. With the military, it is absolutely what Janie says. In the military, if you had a weapon, you had to register it. You weren't allowed to conceal a weapon. Guards in certain places that had the means to stop people, then some of the massacres that happened on the military base wouldn't have gone as far as they went.
Because our military became a soft target.
Yes.
Just like the Amish family that was attacked in the school. Somebody walked in and shot teachers and students in the Amish school. Well, they know that the Amish are a very soft target because they're an easy read. And okay, well, let's just get to this right here real quick before we get to Obama. Let's go ahead and let's just tell you the story of what's going on. Let's just start from the beginning. That's what my teacher used to say, start from the beginning. All right, so this is just the notes that I have so far, and I'm just going to read them out to you. I think this is just a lot easier than putting it up on the teleprompter because you can see I was seeing all the sites and erasing out anything that was not accurate and trying to get my information as accurately as possible instead of running out and just giving it to you. So, all right, so 26-year-old gunman who opened fired in an English classroom, killing 9 persons, was an Army boot camp person who dropped out. Actually, he was, they got rid of him out of boot camp because he didn't pass the minimum standard. Now that can be mentally or physically. I'd like to add that. A lot of people think that he didn't pass boot camp in 2008, but he was given an honorable discharge out of it because he didn't pass something either physically or mentally. So if they even saw something then, you know, we need to go back and talk about that. Should these things be put on their public records? The Army does not put these things on public record. If they find something out about you, they pretty much keep it hush-hush. So whatever happened in 2008, and if anybody knows the answer to that, I would like for you to write me or write in below. I might make some phone calls, John and I, to military friends and find out why he was actually released. But that's very hard information to get. It could have been up to just a simple psychologist saying he's not fit for duty mentally, or a physician saying he might have flat feet. I mean, we don't know that cause and reason, so we're not going to speculate here. We're Christians, we're not speculating. We're going to tell you the best of our knowledge of what we actually know. And I think that's important in a situation like this. That helps us get the real facts out and understand how to solve the problem as a whole, as a group. All right, they were saying that one of the classes that he studied was mass casualties. Well, John studied mass casualty medicine. So I don't know of a class in the military where you study how to have mass casualties. Other than you're in the Army and you learn to shoot, and you shoot as many of the enemy as possible. So if that's the case, everybody studies mass shootings in the military. And he didn't make it through boot camp. And at the stage that he did not make it through, it would be my understanding and my experience and your experience that he probably hadn't even trained maybe even on a weapon yet. That might have came later in the boot camp training. Usually they don't give you bullets until you're a little further in the door. And then they're shooting at you and you're crawling through fences. I'm just saying. When you agree with that statement though, you don't actually get a bullet in a weapon until you've been through all the physicals and you've actually passed your mental training and stuff like that. They're just not going to hand you a weapon that easily. People just assume if you haven't been in the military, you just get handed a weapon. And even our military is not carrying, they're soft targets, even they're not carrying a weapon.
No, our weapons are locked up in the armory.
Yeah, generally. But they do shoot real bullets over your head and real weaponry over your head when you're training. I will give you that much. So there are times where they do unlock them. Would you not agree with that?
Yes, sometimes and sometimes they don't. So it just depends on the training you're in.
Yeah, okay. So in an Oregon timber town, Christopher Sean Harper Mercer, that's HARPER Mercer, MERCER, Christopher Sean Harper Mercer, wore a flak jacket, or a flak vest, and he brought 6 guns and 5 magazines with him into the small Oregon timber town college. Now, investigators found another 7 weapons at his apartment. We believe most of these were handguns. As far as I can come up with, most of these were handguns. But with him, he had handguns and a rifle. And it's my understanding this was a military-grade rifle. All right, so I mean, he fantasized about being in the military and learning to shoot. And maybe he did learn to shoot in the military. But John, you know what I think about gaming and the harsh, violent gaming. I'm telling you, a lot of these boys are all gamers. And I think you're going to find that is the common problem. So instead of blaming weapons, let's blame that we're allowing people to sit there for hours upon hours and shoot their weapons, and blow people up, soft targets and other targets up on a screen, and they lose the idea of reality. That's my theory behind it. We'll get to that in a minute. Okay, so, and you can leave me your comment below and tell me what you think with what you know about it so far. The dead, which I hate calling them that, but in criminology, that's what we call it. The dead range from ages 18 to 67 years of age. Well, that tells us automatically there's some freshmen and a teacher in there, or some sort of a parent figure that's in there. So once we learned that, we then, about an hour later, it came in that included were mostly freshmen and a teacher. So the 67-year-old was a teacher. One was a transplant, which means he just got there from another school. So he just started school late and he'd only been there 4 days. So I'm sure he didn't tick anybody off. He didn't even know anybody yet. It was his 4th day of college. And he knew no one, said the parents. Parents whose lives are now shattered beyond repair are now starting to voice their sorrows publicly. 9 others were wounded, and so far it's odd because I've not really heard anything about them as of yet, and they're also victims. If you live through it, you're still a victim. Your family that has to live through this and go through all these court trials and everything, they're still victims. The whole country right now is actually a victim, if you want to view it that way. Harper died during the shootout. He was armed with handguns and rifles. 1 or 2 were expected to be military-grade weapons. So we're going to go back to the military-grade weapon conversation here in a minute. All weapons were purchased legally, so far that's what we know, over the past 3 to 4 years, maybe even up to 5 or 6 years. But we know the past 3 to 4 years, most of the weapons were legally purchased. Well, they're saying all the weapons were legal. But what made them legal? Here's a question that I had. And upon my research, I asked this: was this planned for that long, that far in advance, for 3 to 5 years, and we got out in 2008? This is the end of 2015. How long have you been planning this? And I think that's a real issue. You know, was he mad at the military? He really had this Irish mercenary military photos up, everybody keeps showing. You know, were these, we don't know if they're photoshopped, we don't know. I mean, there's some weirdos out there that are going to try to play tricks on you so that way you're on the liberal game of getting rid of your weapons. So, who knows? I don't even look at that kind of thing. I look at what the ATF, the FBI, the local sheriff's department, and the local news shows, what they're showing, and then the bigger news stations like ABC, NBC, and things like that. Fox, things like that, and then this is where my information came from. John will tell you, we've been doing this for hours upon hours, so. They say that some of the weapons were bought by him. He's old enough to buy weapons, and if he didn't have any, anything against him, any felonies or anything, yeah, he could definitely have bought a weapon, even military grade. And some were actually bought for him by relatives. Now we're going to get back to that in just a minute as well. Because I was like Paul Begley, what? You know, because we're going to get to that part here. Why you're saying relatives buying weapons, why would they do that? Yeah. Neighbors and family, relatives, described Harper as deeply troubled and a weird type of loner, sitting in the dark and flipping off and on flashlights on the balcony, throwing childish tempers. One 19-year-old girl was interviewed and she said thus: he threw tantrums often. And she could hear him up in the apartment throwing tantrums. And most people said the mom was really nice and things. But this mother obviously knew that he had, up to 14, 15 weapons in the house. He's a troubled teen, so what relatives bought him the weapons? See, I think that's a good question. Was the relative the mother? Was the relative the father? And they're all acting surprised by this and his behavior. Why does his parents always act like they're blind to it? But the other relatives and the neighbors said he would throw childish tempers, he was deeply troubled. These are family members saying this about him. They described him as deeply troubled. They would buy any weapons?
I think it's surprising in any shooting that you look back and you think what we could have done to prevent it. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times I think it's second guessing yourself in reference to it.
Well, no, it says right here.
Well,
it said that the FBI agent said some of the weapons were bought for him and they were legal by relatives.
You would wonder why someone would buy a weapon for somebody that is prone to some weird
deeply troubled behavior.
Yes. Yeah, it would look like you would get him a ticket to see the psychologist or somebody.
Unless they were the ones that got him deeply troubled in behavior. There's always a reason behind the reason, and I'm telling you that as a criminologist, there's always a reason behind the reason.
And we're not given a lot of that, and it's hard to make intelligent decisions based upon misinformation. And I think one thing that we're leading to is that this missing information that we're given is really odd because they're trying to promote an agenda that goes against the Constitution of the United States. Mm-hmm. And goes against our individual rights, mm-hmm. based upon a psychotic episode of a person that was mentally unstable that did a terrible, terrible
Well,
thing.
several of them. We've had several episodes, which does need to stop. I'm not gonna argue that. All right. So it said his father, whose son was said was missing in action, but he's there today, and he says he knew his son very well. So we got two different answers for that. He claimed online that he was like a missing in action father, but then yet others are saying that he was definitely in the picture, but he just lived with his mother. So he may have been an Irish synthesizer militant, is what somebody said. And according to his website, this is possible, and his father might have been in the Irish synthesizer as well. But political synthesizer or not, I mean, there's no excuse. I mean, is this a terrorist attack through a different type? You know, we're always looking at ISIS and stuff, but is this possibly a brainwashed terrorist attack through the father's line, through the mother and father's line somehow?
Well, he definitely did something wrong. You can't blame per se his parents or anybody else.
Well, no,
When he
I'm going to
picked up the
disagree.
weapon-
I'm going to disagree with you. I think if you know that your son's got a weapon and he's got some troubles, I definitely disagree. I've been around weaponry long enough to tell you that somebody that's got a screw loose shouldn't have a weapon.
I believe they ought to be locked up also. So I'm not
Well,
saying.
medicine or seen a psychiatrist on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Or locked up if that's what's necessary. We've gotten rid of, you know, our prisons are overflowing, but most of the prisons are overflowing people that have mental handicaps. You know, or mentally ill, whatever you want to call it. They're human beings. They have a right to help. They have a right to get help. And we're not getting that help out there. I don't think gun laws are the issue. I think that mental health issues are the issue. And I think Obama healthcare doesn't make it easy for you to get the kind of help that you need. It's just so expensive, and people just aren't getting the help that they need.
Well, you almost have to do something like
Well,
this person
well, we're
did
closed- we
before we
closed
ever. People look and see all kinds of things that are going on in a person's life, but they don't make an intervention until something like this happened, and then they say, well, I should have done this, or maybe I should have done that.
Yeah. I was going to say, but they closed down a lot of the mental health facilities in the 1970s or 1980s. They closed them down.
Well, here in Indiana, they did, and when I was living in the inner city in Indianapolis, Indiana, there were people wandering the streets that had no place to go.
Isn't that sad?
And no place to be. They were just released, and they weren't able to care for themselves, and they weren't in a position that they could help themselves or anybody else. It was a sad situation.
Oh, and you talked to one of them. Some of them were really way out there. Now, on one of his web pages, which some deem a false flag, he said, the more people you kill, the more you're in the limelight. And I want to say this again, those are words of a true terrorist. If he really said it, and they find the FBI and ATF, like I said, there's a big investigation, this is going to last a while. You're not going to get your answers for a while. Matter of fact, this is going to die down, there'll probably be another shooting before that you even hear from this again, and that's the sad part about it. You're not, the media are covering so many other things, like the lions that are being murdered by poachers and things. Yeah, that's important. I think animal rights are important too. But they're going to get more coverage on that than this will get coverage. More people on Facebook will yell about that than they will about the Oregon shootings. Because this is, and I do agree with Obama, this is starting to become complacent. We're used to it. Who cares anymore? It's going to happen next week. We're not doing anything about it.
Well, there are some things, and we're going to get to that. There are some things that you individually and that you can do for your family to get yourself in a position to protect and defend yourself against this sort of thing.
In another possible warning on another website, he said this: some of you kids are all right! Exclamation point. Don't go to school tomorrow if you are in the Northwest! Exclamation point. So, was that him giving warnings? I mean, we get bomb threats, we get warnings, there's different things. So, I mean, was this him? According to someone up on the ladder, they believe that it was him. So, you know, we'll wait and see how that pans out. I'm not holding my breath on that one. We'll just see how that pans out. So, on Thursday morning, Harper walked into the Snyder Hall and began firing his weapon, shooting some repeatedly. He ordered some of the students to state their religions before shooting them. Now that's a little odd, because he's starting to shoot people. And wait a minute, let's go to this first before we talk about that. An Army veteran approached him, tried stopping him, and he shot him a second time. while he was on the floor, an Army veteran, he had shot him, he still tried begging him not to make the decision he was going to make. Not about shooting him, but about entering the classroom. He hadn't entered the classroom yet. He shot him because he tried to stop him outside the classroom. This was a young Army veteran, and his name was Chris Mintz, M-I-N-T-Z, Chris Mintz. Chris Mintz. And then he shot him a second time. Well, apparently he lived to tell his aunt about it because she's the one that reported it from the hospital. I mean, that's cold-blooded murder. There's no other way to say it. It's cold-blooded murder. The guy begged for everybody else's life, not even his own. To me, that's a hero. That's a hero. He begged him not to go in the room. So he shot him again, and then he went in there and he did his terror on in the Snyder Hall area. So, I mean, the guy witnessed it. He said it was a bloodbath, an absolute carnage of bloodbath. I mean, these students are going to need counseling. They're going to need love and attention, and we can't just sweep this under the rug. Oops, another one. We're getting used to it. Let's not get used to it. Let's, as Christians, quit hiding our heads in the sand and under the rugs. Let's stand up for what's right, and let's end this. Let's take our country back. We've got to get it back in God. We've got to start teaching God. We've got to start teaching Christ. And I'm telling you, this is just, these are so senseless, and I do believe they are preventable. And I'm going to get to my reason why I think that in a minute. His father, Ian Mercer. Ian, which we all know if you read historical romances, that's an Irish name. So there could be a lot to the Irish militia that his father might be a member of, or maybe he desired to be a member like his dad used to be or something. I don't know. But his father, Ian, that is an Irish name, Mercer, said this: "I am just as shocked as anybody about this thing."
Yeah.
He's shocked as anybody else. But he knew his son had all the weapons. He knew his son had some mental illness, but they're shocked. I don't see how people don't see it. I don't see how people don't see it. You know, if you're going to color your hair like a clown and walk into the theater and shoot everybody, nobody noticed it ahead of time. I sure notice it every time he's on camera and on TV. He's still like, I don't care what I did. He absolutely does not care. Every one of them have that look about them. And I'm telling you, once somebody commits murder, it's not like doing it on a game anymore. It becomes very real, and their personality changes real quick. It becomes almost surreal in their mind. They go into a shock of some sort. That's why a lot of them commit suicide when they realize what they've done. Now, he lost his life in a gun battle, by the way, with police, so I thought I'd bring that up. He did not commit suicide that we know of. Like I said, any of this can change at any moment. We're only a day and a half into this. So,
or it could be, like some situations, suicide by the aid of the police.
Yeah, suicide, like, we're not going to know. I don't think we'll ever know the answers to a lot of these questions because, like I said, the CSI, the crime scene investigators, the ATF, the FBI, they're going to keep this under wraps. And who are they reporting to? They will be reporting all their fact and findings to the President of the United States, Obama. And he's going to use this in his favor, definitely. We're going to talk about Wikipedia in just a minute. Remind me to talk about Wikipedia here in just a minute. Matter of fact, pull up Wikipedia and the Oregon shooting on your computer on another tab here, on another computer, another tab. Because we're going to get to that in just a minute. Obama later stated in a news conference, "I will politicize this issue. The only way to stop a mentally ill person from mass shootings is to ensure they don't have an arsenal available when something in them snaps." Now, my question for John is this: how do you get rid of an arsenal of weapons and get them untouchable by the person that's mentally ill if, number one, no one knew that he was mentally ill, he was able to buy weapons, he didn't have a felony, whatever happened in the military, only the government's going to know that, we'll probably never know that. Unless someone sits in that trial, they'll never really know that, and the military does not have to open those medical records. So the psychologists and stuff, they can keep that very private and behind the judge's doors.
Well, in some ways, we all have the right to privacy, and we all have the right to.
Not after shooting a whole bunch of 18 So 18 people, 9 of them you took the life, 9 of them still injured. I don't think you have the right to privacy after that. I'm pretty sure in prison you give up your rights. So
Well,
no more privacy.
But what you find out is that a lot of the different accounts for different mass murders or different things that were happening globally, a lot of times the name of the individual isn't mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why they did whatever they did isn't primarily mentioned. The overriding thing, did they use a gun? Did they use a weapon? How did they acquire it?
Mm-hmm.
Were they mentally stable when they acquired it?
Mm-hmm.
Now, all those things, in order to make an informed decision, you have to be able to know some of that information, but it's kind of on the sidelines and not really discussed.
Yeah, it's not in the forefront at all.
But the agenda, overall agenda of the president, is that if we make every place a gun-free zone in the United States, basically, and disarm the United States individually and corporately and locally as citizens, that we lock up our weapons, that is somehow going to prevent these things. Now, if it would prevent them, I would be in favor of that. The problem is when the psychologist went over the edge, and he was supposed to be a mental health worker, and then he started shooting American soldiers. If the American soldiers, if there was somebody at least, maybe not everybody, but if there's someone on guard that had a weapon, that weapon could have been used to disarm or either kill the perpetrator of it before it went too far. Mm-hmm. In reference to the schools, you have to ask the question, in a gun-free zone, why don't they have some metal detector at the door or some technology or some guard? Mm-hmm. Not everybody needs to have a weapon, but Obama's answer is to disarm everybody, and the real issue might be to have an armed guard mm-hmm. at certain places and at certain events. And right. Just like walking in the woods, if I'm going to go in some woods and I'm going to walk, even here in Indiana, there are coyotes and there are animals and they're hungry and not in their right mind. And the only way for me to defend myself is to carry a big stick or to carry a weapon or some other means of defense. Disarming me doesn't solve the problem.
Well, and I'd like to say this. Did you know that the #1 reason for people committing incidents around the world, but mostly in America, the reason why our incidents are high is based on bullying, childhood bullying. #1 reason, the childhood bullying, so and also gaming. Like I said, gaming is a really
people get bullied and
violent games.
If they're thinking always about violence and gaming and other different things of whatever culture you're around, bad company corrupts good morals. Bad thinking actually leads to the end too, in reference to it. But the emphasis of the president and other different people in reference to these events is to disarm. Now, if the people that were saying had a weapon, if one person had a weapon, if there would have been a guard at the door with a weapon, if there would have been some deterrent, like a metal detector, you know, as you go into school.
I went to school when there were no metal detectors, and we had bomb threats that were jokes. No one ever had a real bomb threat. It was like coming out of the 1980s, we had some bomb threats, but it was just to get out of school. You know, pull the fire alarm, get everybody out so you can go to early lunch. It was just a bunch of silly students playing games. I don't remember ever. I mean, you always prepped for it. I mean, you prepped for nuclear bombs when you were young in the 60s.
Well, you had to get under your chair, and I always thought, well, if I got under my chair, and when I really understood the consequence of a nuclear blast, the building wouldn't be there, and the chair wouldn't be there. If I was close enough, I wouldn't be there either.
What's any less of a threat? A nuclear warhead dropping on your head all the time, the threat of it, the making of the movies and threatening people and people living under fear all the time and bomb shelters like we have here. What's bigger, the bigger threat? That. You know, hurricanes and things like that. It's like Obama acted like he can control hurricanes today. I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure when they hit, you're going to get some flooding zones and you're not going to be able to keep these dams up. He said he made bridges better. Didn't last month a bridge drop on a bunch of people and kill a bunch of people? Okay, so you're up keeping the roads. I'm sorry, but a lot of people died. They were hurt in bridge fallings this last year. But only 1 or 2 of them were actually reported publicly by the big media. So our bridges are failing. Our bridges are failing. We got all these engineers graduating just from Purdue alone. Some big engineers. And our bridges are failing. We're putting our money into going into outer space and going and finding what's on Mars. But we need to fix the bridges. We need to fix the old buildings. We need to fix homelessness. We have enough mindsets that we could build little houses, little tiny homes. People live in little tiny trailer homes. And we could get some rows of homes and we could have no homeless. We could have no one in this country go hungry. We produce enough food in America alone to feed all of our hungry just by our excess food. But we don't. We give it to other countries instead. And do they thank us? No, they threaten us with nuclear warheads, which takes us back to square one, doesn't it?
The Constitution of the United States clearly says that a person has the right to bear arms.
That's right, and protect ourselves.
To protect ourselves. If you disarm everybody and you think that's the solution, it's not the solution.
Well, the Second Amendment, hang on for a second though, the Second Amendment protects the First Amendment. And what's the First Amendment?
That we have the right of religious freedom.
That's right. Yes. And the second one is to make sure that nobody takes that away from us.
The constitutional regard in reference to weaponry is that we have a right to bear arms in reference to an individual. The solution of the president and the agenda that he had, he was very apologetic to the family, and we're very sympathetic to the family. He was very apologetic for certain things that happened, and we do agree with him in reference to some things are becoming normal and we're getting callous to things. But his solution to the problem, that disarmament of the United States citizen would fix the problem, is absolutely not in congruence or with reality. The reality is, if you have several people armed and you have one person going crazy, then the people that are armed will disarm, kill, or otherwise hinder or stop the person that's being crazy. If you disarm the people that are sane, then that 1 or 2 people that are crazy are going to get and use the easy targets in easy accessible places, and they're going to do terrible things. They're going to do it in schools. They're going to do it in the public. They're going to do it in some other places that everybody's disarmed. So they actually believe and they promote disarmament of everyone is going to solve the problem. Absolutely, categorically not true.
Okay, and I want to add this. Okay, so Obama also stated that he compared us with terrorists as far as allowing it to happen. Now, I would like to tell Obama this. ISIS, a couple of weeks ago, this is just a couple of weeks ago, slayed 28 Christians for not saying that they would take Islam. But he just said that the shooter and the mass shootings was the fault of those who did not want that type of gun control in the bill that he was offering, which would basically eventually take our weapons from us. So basically, we're the Christians and the conservatives and those who are for Bill of Rights, whatever, the atheists are for, whoever, whatever religion you are that we're for.
And he put the whole Congress of the United States in the category of not supporting his agenda. And his agenda in our belief...
He laughed about it. He laughed about it. While he was talking about dead students on a campus, he laughed about it and said it was our fault. Now, a lot of you have seen that video, and I'm sure you saw that too.
Categorically, you have to understand the agenda that's being presented. And what we're saying is simply this. If you have one guy that's crazy and you have 5 people that are armed, the 5 people, maybe some of them will get shot, but 1 or 2 might get shot. But this person is either going to be disarmed, they're going to be killed, or they're going to be contained. Now, we prefer to contain them and to find out what went wrong and to help them if we can. But if they get killed, it's not anti-Christian to stand up in defense for yourself and to do what's right to stop murder and mayhem.
All right, and I don't know why, but the Lord just was telling me something to look at something. Let me ask you this, and I was telling this to John. I was noticing on all the websites, and we're talking about Wikipedia and the Facebook and all this, and we're talking about false flags, and a lot of you will call it false flag. These murders really did happen. I can tell you they really did happen by the people that are reporting in and stuff like that. And with my connections and things like that, I'm telling you it really did happen. Go on Wikipedia. Now here's my problem with this. I want to know what they are covering up. And I feel like there is still a cover up here. Because number one, some of these shootings that are happening on the days that Obama is promoting his bill for the gun control agenda. All right? Now, set that aside now. Just set that idea aside for just a second. Get it out of your head. Let me ask you this. Why is it that the Facebook pages and the MySpace pages and the talking of it and everything have him as an Irish militant because his dad's name is Ian or whatever? Well, let's say this. Let's say that that wasn't the case. Let's say he was really into Islam. They would have a great reason to hide that, Obama would. And I feel like it is very possible that the way he had them state their religion first, I feel like this isn't just a false flag. I feel like this is definitely going to be a cover-up here somewhere. And I feel like it, based on the fact that I believe that he was, and I believe he was a terrorist. The mass shootings, the number of weapons he was compiling up in his apartment, this was definitely obviously pre-planned. I mean, he had military-grade weapons, and people said he was talking to himself or whatever. Maybe in his fantasy, he was even trying, there's always the copycat type person. That still doesn't make them any less of a terrorist. In your head, if you're for them or you're against them, I don't care what your mental capabilities are. If you move over and you take Islam courses and then you come back and kill a mass set of people, like the Boston bombers and them did, then you are a terrorist. Now, if you come over here and you're fantasizing about it and you're playing these gun games and you're writing about it, and I don't care what kind, it didn't have to be ISIS, you're a terrorist. He's still a terrorist. And I think that people ought to get this new word into their head, because Obama doesn't like using the word terrorist, you'll notice. What is a terrorist? Look it up. Look up what is a terrorist. Here, look it up online right here. Let's look up. Now, here's my other problem, John, while you're typing that in. What's the deal with Wikipedia? Have you looked that up? Have you seen it yet? I'm telling you, that was up. That was up right after the shooting happened, and the information was pretty accurate for what it was saying. But it was pictures of Obama. Obama's agenda was all over the Wikipedia statements. Now, the government has to be involved in Wikipedia, or somebody that's on the liberal side for the president, something in there. Because when we went to all the websites, what was the common factor?
Well, the interesting thing that I saw was the president's speech was linked in to the information about the various shootings.
On Wikipedia. And
he told everybody in his speech, I want you to do the calculations. But what was missing in Wikipedia as a source, it wasn't the number of people that were killed. It wasn't the dates of what happened. It wasn't the event, and we know that these events happened. It wasn't even the particulars in reference to it. But a lot of the information of how they got the weapon, their access to weapon, and
what
the attitude in reference to that my policy of disarmament, and that's what I'm going to call it, the president's policy of disarmament of the American people is the solution to the problem. Now, Congress and other people,
it was like political signs. It was plastered all over the website with his picture on it right after it happened. And I'm like, wait a minute, where's this information coming from? ATF, FBI, they were all still on the scene.
He accused Congress of not being in favor of him and opposing his gun legislation as if they are the enemy. Mm-hmm. Here is the enemy. The Constitution of the United States of America guarantees religious freedom and expression and practice, and that we have that right. It also promotes in the Bill of Rights that we, as citizens, have the right to bear arms. If you disarm the sane people and think that you're going to have some sane society, you're absolutely going against the Constitution of the United States. You're going against rational thought and processes. And then, like I said, if you have 5 people that have a weapon, one person that's crazy, one person or two people out of the 5 might get killed or shot, but here's what's going to happen to the one person. That one person is either going to be shot, they're going to be killed, or they're going to be disarmed and detained. But if you disarm the others, and I think that's absolutely the president's agenda, if you disarm the people and you think you have some right to do that.
Well, he compared us with Great Britain and Australia, which have no gun laws. But by the way, I want to tell you, in the UK, in Germany, they've given, and they are giving, in the process of giving all the weapons back to the people, because all the Muslims that refugees that went there, they got scared, so they're giving their weapons back to them. So don't let him tell you that worked for them, because it did not work for them. And we know we have children in Germany, and we have family in Germany. So yeah, don't let them tell you that taking the weapons worked for them. They took the weapons from them for a very short period of time, and now they're giving them back real quick, because they're being taken over by another force, which is what he's getting ready to do to us. It's almost like Germany was the sample. But no, but Obama doesn't want you to see that they got the weapons back. They're keeping that off the media.
The Jews categorically through Hitler, and it wasn't all at once. It was just little bit by little bit by little bit by little bit. Oh, you're a Jew, so you have to wear a star. Well, you're a Jew, you can't leave the neighborhood, you have to live in this other place. Oh, you're a Jew, you really can't have a bank account or money. Oh, you're a Jew, then you're going to live in this place and you can only do economy and other different things among other Jews. And then sooner down the line, they were sending them off to concentration camps and exterminating them permanently. And if you don't think that can happen, if you get a situation that the same people are disarmed in the United States as a result of some terrible thing that happened as far as a shooting, it's somebody against the Constitution, against the American people, against our rights and liberties, and against our self-defense that is promoting the disarmament of the United States of America, so we cannot stand. If the school had had a guard at the door, perhaps the guard would have got shot, perhaps he wouldn't have got shot. But if the guard was armed, then they could have taken that weapon and either shot, killed, or disarmed the other person. Mm-hmm. So you can't have these free, unadulterated zone where everybody is unarmed, because it just doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. I want to tell you the word terrorism, what it means. I mean, basically know what terrorism is and terrorists are, but let's just see what the definition in the dictionary is for it. It is a noun, and it means the use of violence and threats to intimidate or coerce, or especially for political purposes. Well, we associate it with political purposes, but in this day and age, I think we can redefine terrorism as not always political. Sometimes it's just scaring the crap out of people. So that way you won't have a certain religion, so you won't attend and you scare people away from a certain school. I mean, he had an agenda, he had a reason. I've heard people tell from anything from him being a transvestite and people were insulting to a race issue. Whatever it was, we know, and I just told you this a minute ago, that bullying is it is the number one reason why young children today get violent. It's because of bullying. That bullying starts setting in on them. But is it bullying itself terrorism? I believe that it is. It's terrorism. Have you went to school with a bully? It's horrible. It's like living with a terrorist every day and someone against everything you do and say and picking on every little thing you wear, your hair. I was in school, they did. I mean, you have that peer pressure in school. By the time you get to college, of course, you kind of grow out of, and even the bullies grow up in college, don't they? Pretty soon, they're the nicest people that you see back at the 10-year, 20-year class reunion, which I try to avoid at all costs. But anyway, the second version of terrorism is the state of fear and submission produced by terrorism or terrorization. And that's where they added it back into this definition that you didn't have in the other one. Or 3, a terroristic method of governing or resisting a government. So now what they're put on here now is if we resist our government, we're considered terrorists now. So number 3 makes us terrorists if we pull off the Second Amendment to save our First Amendment. They've got us listed here now in the dictionary as a terrorist. So if we're all going to be defined as terrorists for coming against our government when we think they're in the wrong, then I wonder who had that added to the dictionary recently, because that wasn't in there last year.
One that tries to inspire terror to get their way.
Mhm.
So here was a shooting. It was a terrible thing, terrorist sort of incident.
Cause terror.
And then we're going to take Obama as a governmental official that has politicized this event, and he plainly admits it,
For his agenda.
for his
Bill.
agenda, which is to disarm the United States of America and the United States citizen. It's going to be turned around on me as if I'm the terrorist,
Because we don't agree with his
because
agenda.
we do not agree. But you know, he blamed the Congress, he blamed the people that won't support him, and I'm going to say again, if there's 5 people that are armed and 1 person that's crazy with a weapon, what's going to happen to the 1 person? They're going to be disarmed, killed, or otherwise taken care of.
They won't kill in a mass amount of people.
They won't be able to get away with what they got away with today.
It takes the police or the guards and stuff. It takes them too long to get there. And even that veteran that got shot and that tried to stop him, if he'd been armed, he might have been able to stop him.
He might have been able to stop him, and we've been taught in the military to do different things. I may die disarming or hurting somebody else if they're trying to do this sort of thing. But
But you may save a lot of people.
I could take them out. I'm pretty convinced of that.
Mhm.
That I've been taught how to. So, but is my training against a sanity? No, disarming me and not training me
Isn't that
and
funny?
not preparing
But
me.
isn't it funny that Obama can send troops to other countries to lose their lives, but it's not okay in America for us to protect ourselves? But it's okay if we die protecting other countries. That to me doesn't make any sense at all. We should first and foremost protect our homes, our families, and our country. You know, I'm sorry, country, God, family. It's just the way that it goes. Without the country, we have no country to put under God. You know, our country is very important. Now, I always say that God is for all mankind. That's when we're secured here, financially, physically, and mentally. Then you go over and you start spreading the love other places. That's the way that it works. But if you look like you're ununited, united we stand, divided we fall. If we look divided on these things, these terrorist groups come in thinking they can control us, they can take us over. We look weak and we absolutely look ridiculous.
And we're an easy target for anybody.
We become a soft target.
Yeah. You don't want to be a soft target.
You know why? You know why Islam, ISIS, and a lot of the other, a lot of military. There's more terrorist groups out there. This is what people think. Everybody's against a terrorist group of the day. It's what the media is feeding you. There are a lot of terrorist groups and military groups out there from Russia, from like he said, from Ireland. There's all kinds of military groups that are against the UK or against the United States or whoever's in the United Nations of the day. Whoever they think is going to be the ruler of the world, and it's the end of the days. You get online and you start spreading this crap. I told John, I said, I am not going to be one of those ministers that goes online and makes predictions. September is going to be a busy September. We got the blood moons and Jesus is coming on his birthday, the 23rd. Never said it, and we're still sitting here. When the Mayan calendar ended, we went and we graduated with our doctorates. We counted on the fact that only Jesus has that answer. And this pulls people away from Christ with these false predictions. And this will answer your question. How do you know what a false prophet is? A false prophet is somebody that predicts something, even once, and it doesn't come true. That is a false prophet. Turn them off. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, and I think right now,
if they're not preaching what's in the Bible, turn them off.
Well, and Obama says you can't even use the Bible. But the strange thing about Obama is this: you can't understand the Bible, you can't use the Bible, you can't see what it really says. But the strange occurrence is this: in the 10 actually.
That's what I'm saying. No, he said you can't run a country by it.
Obama says you can't run a country by it. God said in the Old Testament, promised to Noah. He said, if people start killing one another, then you have the right to dispatch them to God. You have people that are armed, and they suppress other people that may be armed and dangerous in reference to doing evil. But if you don't have these same people armed, and you have only the people that are unsane and uncontrolled, and these people that are going to have an arsenal, whether you want them to or not. They're going to get a weapon illegally or not legally or by any means or ways that they can.
Well, who would have put that on Wikipedia in such perfect English so quickly? I'm telling you, it was an edited piece. I'm a writer. I've been published. It was an edited piece. All of them were edited pieces as if they had their own media writing their speeches, also write these things. And they were already up on Wikipedia, the story was already told. The investigation, how can you tell a story on Wikipedia and who's who if we don't even know that? And I've been on all the websites. It took me hours just to pull this much information together. And I know that you're all out there in the same boat because you're reading the same stuff online I am. So, I mean, unless you're making phone calls and doing what we were doing, you really just don't have that information.
Well, in the agenda he's trying to promote, like I said again, he's trying to disarm America. It's against the Constitution, it's against our best interest, and it's not in favor of controlling people that might be mentally ill or some other issue going on with them. Because if you are not armed and you're not able to defend yourself, then whoever has the weapon, they're going to get weapons illegally and they're going to do something under the cover or whatever. So disarming me or disarming the United States people is not going to solve the problem.
It's not. Let's just say that he had been being watched. They watched him buy these weapons. They knew he was buying them. Let's say they knew he was mentally ill. Let's say he was on a watch list. Now, if he was on a watch list and Obama's trying to pass his agenda, and you can never prove this. This is definitely an out there theory because you can't prove it. As a criminal officer, I'm telling you, I'm not in the police department. There's no way. Internal affairs, there's no way I can prove this. But I'm asking an internal affairs out there. Pay attention to this, okay? If Obama had people watching people like him, and he knew they were going to shoot or they were going to do something, he knew they were ready to explode, why did they not go in and stop some of these shootings that they've had access to, that they knew something was going on ahead of time? They've admitted that they've been watching some of these people ahead of time. Now, if that's the case, then why not stop them? Because he wants to let them go. He wants them to get, he's calling his dogs off. Go ahead and let him explode. Let's see if we can't push him over the edge. Let them bully him. You know, don't kick him off Facebook. We'll put up a false MySpace. We'll give everybody this hate thing while they hate him. And it's, you know, it was racial. It was because he was homosexual. We'll make them hate the Christians. We'll kill two birds with one stone.
Well, particularly with schools, there was, today, there was 158 different instances of school shootings. The agenda of Obama and his administration and other people is disarm the United States of America and violate the Constitution of the United States in reference to our right to bear arms, blaming us for the problem. Rather than seeing, if I'm walking in the woods and I know there's a hungry animal or some ferocious threat to my life and I arm myself, then I have the means and the ability to defend myself in reference to a wild animal or in reference to a situation in life where someone may come against me in a public sector also. So in both of those cases, I have the right to bear arms. And you can't just flaunt the Constitution, try to disarm the United States as a whole, and then blame the Congress of the United States, and then blame the individual gun owners and other people that carry weapons legitimately as if we're the issue and the problem.
Well, he says here, we're the only advanced country with mass shootings. Well, we looked that up and that is absolutely not true. Where all do we have mass shootings in advanced countries? We have mass shootings, like I said, 28 Christians killed in the Middle East. People think they're not an advanced country, but they are. They're very advanced countries. They are advanced. They have advanced weaponry.
You know, they don't report on the murder of the Christians, and they don't report on the murder of the innocent, and they don't report on
their murders of each other too. Yeah. Because what did the one Muslim say when he took him to the hospital? Don't take me to that one. Why not? I'm the wrong kind of Muslim.
Yeah, when I was in Baghdad, there were people that we translated to the Muslim hospital downtown, and they explained to me and other people that they weren't the right kind of Muslim, and they would kill one another in their hospital. That just totally doesn't click to us as United States citizens and Americans.
Well, because they hid that in the media. They hid that. We just had that conversation the other day at the Civil War encampment with somebody else that was injured from 3 IEDs. He went through 3 of them and kept going back. Now that's a soldier right there. That's where I think, second thought, think to myself, and I think, but those are gun laws, and I'm not for the gun laws. But I do know that there's so many people that have weapons, they're going to get their hands on them. What do they think they're going to do? Stack them in a big military government stronghold somewhere? They're going to take them from you? Okay, his statement was, how are you going to keep an arsenal away from a mentally ill person? You tell me down below, how can you keep an arsenal away from a mentally ill person?
Well,
If they
actually,
keep everyone mentally ill, no one will be able to get a gun.
I don't
and
think that
take
you
them
can
off.
actually keep weapons from the mentally ill or people that are lawless or people that have the desire to kill, steal, and destroy.
Then they'll just come in
So-
and steal your swords instead, and then they'll slice your head off
If-
your swords. Is that going to be the next conversation? Oh, by the way, I got one for you. How come let's say you go to a gun show, then how come at a gun show no one's ever been killed en masse at a gun show? If guns kill people, then why have not everybody, how do people come out of a gun show alive? If guns kill people, how do you step out of a gun show alive? Answer that one.
Well, I think the very honest to God's
guns don't
truth
kill
is
people.
that
Because they're armed.
they know that they're armed. They know that if they walk into a gun show and they try to shoot people, they may knock out one or two people, but somebody's going to take them down, take them out.
They're afraid to walk into a gun show. Now they'll walk in and buy a gun, but you won't see them shoot a bunch of people at a gun show because the people there are armed. They are not soft targets. Don't be a soft target and learn how to use a weapon. If you want to learn how to use a weapon, go get trained on that said weapon. I definitely agree you should have so many hours of shooting on a weapon before you walk out the door with it. Everyone out. All right, so what I was talking about, take a training course on the weapon. Take a self-defense course, because if you learn self-defense, you have a better chance of surviving a situation like the mass shootings. It's hard when they have automatic military-grade weapons, and I do agree with people not being able to have military-grade weapons. I mean, shit hits the fan. Sorry, I said that. SHTF. Things are going to get really, really bad, and it scares the crap out of me thinking about the people and that will be having military-grade weapons. But they're going to get their hands on them either way. They can cross the border in Mexico and get them, or go up into Canada and bring them back down. I mean, to me, it just doesn't matter. They're going to get their hands on a weapon, and if they can't kill you with a gun, they're going to kill you with a knife. If they can't kill you with a knife, they're going to kill you with a roadblock. You know, they're just going to roadblock you and gang kill you. I mean, it's just, they're going to find a way. If there's a will, there's a way. So if there's a will, there's a way. Then they'll start building snowball bombs. We've had people out here set those off before. You know, car bombs, whatever. I mean, they're going to find a way, from fertilizer to snowball. The information is out there all over the net how to do it.
Well, and the people will take that and do evil with it.
And there'd be more casualties than 18 people if they're building pipe bombs with nails screwed and taped to the side of them, and pressure cooker bombs. They're going to be much, much more casualties. So it's like getting rid of marijuana, and now you have a big drug problem. You get rid of guns, and you're going to have an even bigger bomb problem.
Well, and I think overall what Janie said is true. So overall, Obama's solution to the problem of disarming the United States of America and violating, I think, our amendment right to bear arms is a mistake. Also, to blame the Congress of the United States as the problem is a mistake. And also to think that just more regulation in and of itself is going to solve the problem. Mm-hmm. And blaming the victims or either people that carry weapons as the real instigators of the problem, that's a real mistake. And I'll say again, if you have 5 people that are armed and 1 person that's going crazy, they probably won't be able to get rid of the 5 people in reference to the situation. So we either restrain the person, we take them down, or we take them out.
Well, Obama says here, he says that we're claiming that we need more guns and fewer safety laws. That's absolutely a lie. He wants you to believe that that's what the people in our and everybody's saying. That's absolutely a lie. Those who are abiding by the law and who own weapons are abiding by the law, and they own weapons. They are abiding by the law. Like I said, the mentally ill, it's funny how he never talks about how he can help the mentally ill.
Well, in the criminal element, the mentally ill and other people that are employing themselves to do evil, to kill, steal, and destroy, they're still going to get their means of having some way of doing people in. If there's 5 or 10 people that are standing against it, then they won't be able to get through the door.
I had a Muslim tell me once, just in conversation one night, and he just blurted it out. He said the only reason why the Muslims haven't attacked the United States in a bigger way is because they believe all the farmers are armed. They believe we're one big farming, corn shucking community. We have very few big cities. We're all a bunch of farmers with swimming pools in our backyards and Cadillacs and Corvettes in our garages. That's, you know, the Bollywood, Hollywood version of us. That's what other countries think of us. They think we're just a bunch of rich people and we have everything. But what they are afraid of is they know we also love we love our weapons. And that's what they think about us, so therefore they don't attack on our land. They believe that we are not a soft target. We were talking about soft targets again. But if they take away our weapons, nobody's going to love that more than those that are just sitting on the sidelines waiting for us to become a soft target. And we're already looking that way because they're attacking us now. They're attacking our military bases.
Well, and we're attacking our Congress in the United States, and we're attacking the people of the United States, and we're blaming them for the catastrophe that happened in reference to the gun availability.
So Great Britain and Australia. The question here, Obama's statement, I just want to cover this real quick. Do they have fewer crimes because they have no weapons? Absolutely, positively not when we looked it up. Let me get to my numbers here. North America's, Canada and all that, we had 108 incidents. But there were 95 massacres in Europe. So it was almost 50-50 in the amount. So no guns with guns. Now, count the number of people and the number in the area, and we had far more people and we had less massacres than Europe did. We had more incidents but less massacres. And in Asia, they had 127, and they are a communistic controlled country. They're not allowed to have weapons like that either. Russia didn't report, so we didn't get Russia, but I'd like to have known what that was. And India, of course, we know they had a lot. They had a lot. So any advanced country said the Britons and other civilized nations, well, ask Germany what they had to say. They just gave the weapons back to the people because it didn't work out for them. They let all the refugees, Syria refugees in there, and they were throwing the food and the drinks they were giving them back off the train and back onto the tracks. And they weren't wanting to take food from anybody. They just wanted to get to Germany, because Germany, they could have stopped off at any country that was trying to help them, like Hungary and all them countries. But what did they do, John? They wanted to go on to Germany because Germany had welfare. They had cash to be given to them. And what did they want to do with the cash? They wanted to buy weapons so they could go back and they could, start more wars and fight more. Has any family called? Oh, and my other question is, has any of the family members called for gun control from the victims so far? He's acting like he's speaking for the family members, but so far the only person that spoke out said absolutely not. We should have had a weapon with this. It probably might have saved my son's life. But it was a gun-controlled campus. It was a gun-free zone. Gun safe. They sell them at any Tractor Supply store, any Big Blue store, any Gander Mountain, wherever you shop, they sell gun safes. I sell gun safes. Hold on. If you want a gun safe, I got one. I sell them too. I almost forgot. I sell gun safes, John. I almost forgot. I sell gun safes. So contact me below if you're interested in one. These are also tornado shelters. So these will take these puppies, okay? They'll take military fire, okay? They'll take military fire and small firearms fire, obviously, if they take military fire. These puppies right here are bulletproof panic rooms built to withstand 250 mile per hour tornadic winds as well. It's called the Defender Vault. And here you can see the locks and the padlocks. You got to know the combo code to get in. A burglary occurs every 14.2 seconds in the United States. Did you know that? Every 14.2 seconds someone is burglarized. Over 2 million burglaries are committed in the U.S. per year. 2 million of them. The average financial loss per crime is over $2,000. The nationwide typical police response time is 10.5 minutes. How long does it take to get a bullet? How quick can you break into a house and shoot off a bullet? This is where we go back to making sure the guns are in the right hands, but to be able to lock up your weapons so they're not used against you. This is very important. And then to have a place to go and hide and have a phone inside of here. We just installed one. The neighbors have one. We just installed one here for show for the model. So I mean, And I won't tell you all the ones we have, but I will tell you that we got it covered. An average interaction between criminal and victim is only 90 seconds. 90 seconds, so it's a minute and a half. That's all you have between a criminal and the victim. That's your maximum time. Or average, that's your average time through interaction with a criminal. That's how much time you have to talk them out of something. And odds are, it's going to be difficult to do that once they get a mindset. Guns are used in self-defense in less than 1% of all violent crimes. You hear that? Guns are used in self-defense in less than 1% of all violent crimes. So what did they just tell you?
People are soft targets, they don't have a weapon, and they have no means of defense of themselves.
And if they did have a weapon, they didn't have it to where they could get to it fast enough. They didn't keep it with them, or they didn't have it where they could get to it fast enough. Over 4 billion hours are spent per year under tornado watches in the U.S. Well, that's true. And and they go all the way up from about 14,000, 13.5, all the way down to 7,000. And again, you want to get the digital bolt lock on it too. So that's about 700 more to get the digital bolt lock. And I also carry my survival storm shelters, just like the one back here you see. And we have all kinds. We have kind that goes in the garage floor, that goes in the garage itself above ground. We have above ground safes that have the fingers, where the little kids' fingers don't get latched in. That's like the neighbors here. You can see the breathing hole here. This one right here, of course, this isn't the style. This has the breathing holes in it. This isn't the style you would use for weaponry, because this one right here has the holes so somebody could shoot you through the holes here. So you have to get the right. You have to get the right one. If you want to get protected and get the defender or a panic room, you want to make sure they can't put the end of a weapon through there. And then of course this one right here is similar to mine. My staircase comes like this. And then I can design it with a deeper, like mine, like a deep earth bunker, and we can add inches to the staircases, extra steps coming up. So, I mean, there's a lot of options that we have that a lot of people don't have, from in the garage floor to in a room addition. And I'm one of the very few people that's ever installed a storm shelter under a slab or in a home that actually goes outside as well. So my shelter actually goes outside. A lot of people think it's under the slab here, but it's under the slab part way, and then the other half's outside, so that we have access. So I have access to get, if I need to, I can get cut out. We can get out. So we have a big 3-ton jack in there, and that's like $300 more. No, was it $150? It was $150 more. I think it was $780 for the two racks, for the two ship berths. The two beds, twin beds that came down. Well, maybe I should give them a quick view.
I think that she can give you a quick view, and let's end it, and then you can take them for a view. Okay,
we'll end it. Okay, go ahead.
This is Dr. John Pendleton and Dr. Janie Pendleton, and we hope that this helped you. Mm-hmm. And we're sorry for your loss, and be prepared. Don't be an easy target.
Yes. Okay, this is the lid up. And again, you can see where I went outside with this. The steps are in the house, so we could stay out of the weather and be protected, because all of this is solid concrete. This helps hold this into the ground. And then I went down and under the foundation of the house. I designed a really cool I-beam that went right over the top of the neck of this. And then the block lays on top of that. Concrete goes up to that, all the stone, plastics, everything. And then the building is built on top of the block, and the rest of this goes out underneath the house. And all that is insulated and covered with solid concrete and stone and poured concrete and rebar and all that as well. Now, I've showed videos on that before. Here's the second step here, and it has a hole here, and this is where the actual 3-ton jack goes. I've got a hydraulic jack. In case debris falls, I can crank that hydraulic jack up really easily, and I can open this lid. I can get out of this if I have to. Here we have, we pulled out the, I need to clean my steps, don't I? Here we have the Wi-Fi, and here we have the TV antenna. Here we have a night light. See it coming off and on? There you go. See the night light? Okay, sorry about that. My phone rang. Okay, and this right here is what I was talking about. Right here are your vents, right here. Electricity comes through this hole that John put in. It's nice to be married to an electrician. And here is the main switches. Here are the berths that I was talking about. Here's my other little camera stand. I found it. Okay, and then here's another berth over here, and these go up and down. See that? You can see that. They go up and down. John installed these lights for me as well. Isn't that neat? They're like ship lights. We have our Berkey down here. We have our things. We have emergency medications and everything here. We have a porta potty here. We have a dehumidifier in here. We have water, candles, lighting. I mean, it's not dusty down here at all. I can't believe that it stays so clean down here. I never have to clean. And look at my little friend. Hi, buddy. And this just makes it a little bit more fun for kids, I think. Makes it feel a little bit more birth-like. Got a fan, which we've never needed. It stays really cool under the ground here. And you can see on top of here is rebar, concrete. It stays dry. I got a French drain that runs underneath here. All of our emergency supplies are here. Our bug out bags are here. These are our grab and go bags. In case of emergency, what I do is I just run down here, grab our bags and go. Grab them and go. And we got enough supplies in here for about 2 to 3 weeks. Not food, but actually just like clothing and supplies that can be rewashed and soap. And I've got it set up so we can make it to our bug out place with no problem. But we have a shelter, so our odds are for us. Let me move this carpet here. Odds are for us, we won't be bugging out. Okay? Yeah, we won't be bugging out because we've got our shelter. I've got to paint that, but I've got an entertainment center here that we're putting in. Here's all the TV. It's on a swing arm. It swings out so people out here in the center, right through here, can see it. We keep a doggy toy down here for the doggy. We got all kinds of foods and canned goods. Emergency supplies. Military supplies. Extra batteries. Fishing equipment. Here's our doggy's bug out bag right here. Somebody asked me about the bug out bag for the puppy. Right here it is. And then we've got a shower in case something happens. We have a solar shower. We have some extra clean bed sheets. And then we have emergency toothpaste and toothbrushes and things like that in here. We have emergency water filters. The baubles, these things are great. I actually really like these. We have extra non-breakable, see, we have non-breakable dishes and forks and spoons and things. There's that jack I was telling you about, the 3-ton jack. Emergency siren and radio, so people can hear us. We have a siren. I don't know why there's lice water down here. I wondered where it went. I must have carried it down with me. But they would. We have a saw, a few things like that. We have emergency medical surgical supplies because you know my husband. And that's just the way that it is. Supplies to sew you up. The emergency operating kit, which actually isn't in here. I better get that down here. And then extra tent stakes in case some people show up and we got to tie something down, or we have to tarp a roof or anything like that. We got some emergency stakes. Those are handy. Quick ways to light fires. And then this right here is your potable water tablets. This is not a big one. This is not the smallest one, and it's not the biggest. Make these up to 500 people. Make them as small as up to 12 to 16. So this one holds 16 to 32 comfortably, I might add. Sorry, my dehumidifier is running. And by the way, did you know you can drink the water from dehumidified water? It is sterile water. So the water in here, keep that clean, a little bit of bleach in it, and it's sterile. So in case of an emergency, you can drink the humidity water. The dehumidified air water. Let's see what else. Candles, we have all kinds of stuff down here. What else is back here? I just got some boxes like this right here, these foldable little tubs right here from Big Lots for like $1 each, $1.50 each. And we just got some things to entertain the grandkids. I want you to be able to see this. See? Got lots of room here. This is made by Shipbuilders, by the way. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the tour of my deep earth bunker. A lot of you have seen it, and some of you have just recently joined. Tell me what you think. And it's great for a storm shelter, tornado shelter. I'm protected against all of that. So hopefully I'll be here if a tornado hits, I'll be able to get to it. Sometimes tornadoes around here hit so fast and drop down up and down so quickly that you can't get to really where you want to go. So, but the whole room itself is built in solid concrete and stuff. So it's all encased in solid concrete. So, and a lot of rebar. A lot of concrete and a lot of rebar. I'm just saying. This thing's not going anywhere. The room itself is solid stone and solid concrete. So, alright, so I'll take a picture of it and leave you with that. Oh, sweet dreams and God bless. Night.